All right, guys, so we have the community weeks stuff to talk about. I'm also going to talk about the upcoming fusion at the end of this video, since some of you have probably already seen that. So what is community weeks? This is all about, well, the community, apparently. Last year's event was with Wixwell. It was pretty fun. Hopefully they do some more stuff versus just, give better offers in the shop. We do have this reward calendar coming up, so don't worry, you guys have not missed this. I had some people asking me if this started and they just haven't noticed it. We have the event overview here. Basically, the community week description is the community week is all about, well, you. More rewards. We have a trivia dungeon game show starring our very own content creators. That's news to me. I didn't know that. I guess I'm not part of that. Let's read this again. We've got the new reward calendar featured to dish out new rewards, and we're focusing on the community more with the trivia dungeon game show starring our very own content creators. That is going to be April 8th to May 9th. Yeah, so other people. Free legendary relic vote. Okay, that's going to be April 8th, which we're all going to pick the wand of submission. I mean, if you care about your champions being good, you're going to pick the wand of submission, basically. Free legendary relic vote ends May 3rd. Then we have the reward calendar starts April 10th. The calendar stops May 5th. And then deactivation is May 9th. The community week, we have the reward calendar, free legendary relic vote, we have the wand of submission, the gore crescent, the temporal thing, and then the axe serpentis, just the thing you don't want. It's probably going to go wand first place, temporal stagnator second, gore crescent third, and axe serpentis hopefully with no votes whatsoever, unless people just like the color green. That's really the only reason why I think you'd vote for that one. I've not used it. I've considered feeding it, but I'm going to hang on to it for a little bit longer. We have the free champion, Iudex Artor, which actually has a super solid kit, and then a surprise finale. I'm looking forward to that. So we scroll down a little bit more. There's some cool visuals here. We have the reward calendar overview. Basically, this is a 25-day loyalty program. We're going to get rewards as we go through, and then eventually get the actual champion towards the end. Players can still claim guaranteed rewards, champion fragments, and relic between May 5th and May 9th, even if they didn't log in and open the reward calendar before. The final main reward of the calendar will be determined by a community vote, which I guess is going to be the relic, allowing players to have a say regarding which relic becomes the ultimate prize. Now, when do we get the actual legendary? So it's 25 on the first day. Players can miss a reward if they don't log in on the day it's available, can still claim it. The reward is hidden until you open an activated slot. I wonder if everybody can get it at the same time. Probably right. Everybody's probably getting the same rewards at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 7-day login thing for him. And then the rest of the rewards are hopefully something pretty nice. I'm looking forward to it. It's pretty cool. I like this extra rewards, basically. But now an overview of this champion. I'm not going to read that. Too much to read. We're going to scroll down a little bit and read his actual kit. So what we have going on here. Well. It's actually a pretty daggone solid champion. So his A1 ability is an AoE attack. First up, he's a Spirit Affinity support champion in Sacred Order. We have a lot of Sacred Order champions, to be fair, but he's another one, so here we go. Now, his A1, AoE attack, heals all enemies at 5% of this champion's max HP. That could be a pretty solid heal. His A2 places an increased attack buff and a strengthen on all allies for 2 turns, fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. So if he has decent base speed, he could potentially be a booster in the arena who's given increased attack and strengthen. This is very similar to Lazarius, actually, but that's a pretty decent turn meter boost. Not as good as Arbiter, but it's an okay one. But these are both good buffs to have and a lot of different content. Then we have, well, this is going to be a 3-turn cooldown when fully booked. This is going to be a 4-turn cooldown when fully booked. It's going to be revives an ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. Also places increased attack on the ally for 1 turn. Then activates the revived ally's default skill targeting the enemy with the lowest HP. This is extremely powerful on champions who have good hitting A1s. Who would have thought, right? But a champion like Georgic comes to mind. A champion like Finax comes to mind. Champions like, Sigfrin, Rhodos, a damage dealer, Alil comes to mind. All these champions, this is going to be very powerful. You res them, boom, hits them with the A1. Heck, even a champion like Little Miss Annie could be very interesting with this champion, right? So Little Miss Annie has a passive where she's revived, attacks the enemy that killed this champion with the default skill, also turn meter boost by 25%, and a shield. So if the champion who killed her is not the same champion with the lowest HP, well, she's going to come back for vengeance and then get another attack. That would actually be very cool to see. I'm interested in seeing how that actually works out. Either way, let's continue with his kit. I'm very much looking forward to testing him out. If an enemy is killed by an ally's default skill after being revived by his res, resets the cooldown of a revival mandate. That is crazy. So basically, you res somebody, like maybe Little Miss Annie. I wonder how that would work. If, okay, about the default skill specifically. So you pick somebody up, hard-hitting A1 skill, boom, kills a champion with the lowest HP. This is actually kind of disgusting for champions like Nice, honestly. Which I don't like this because Nice is already crazy champion. But this ignores shield, unkillable, and block damage. So if he comes back, then, well, I guess he'd be in his second form anyway, so it's probably not going to be a big deal for him. But not very many champions ignore that stuff from their A1, so it's probably okay. Like Swift Parry and stuff's still going to prevent them from being killed. But that's a very interesting kit that he has in general. And then we have increases ally speed in the arena by 25%. So you're going to be able to bring him into your arena teams relatively easily. You're going to have that speed aura. You're probably going to get a 5-star soul for him. You're going to have these nice buffs. A single target res is a 4-turn res, but it could be reset if you actually kill someone with that skill. I mean, He-Man even. He-Man comes back with a potential double hitting A1, depending on what faction they're part of. It could be very good. So I'm looking forward to that. But now we scroll down a little bit further. Players will see a voting menu and the reward calendar before the rewarding phase is activated. Voting ends in 2 weeks. That's like basically 3 weeks of voting. It's a long time of voting. When players tap the voting button, the voting interface will open. Okay, talks about how it's going to work. These are the relics you can vote for. Gore Crescent, damage boosted whenever after killing somebody. Wand of Submission is like the meta for PvP. Temporal Stagnator is cool. It lets you basically do something even if you land a weak hit. And then the Axe Serpentis. I'm not convinced that it's just Hydra exposed necks. I'm kind of thinking that it's like champion exposed necks. That's the only way it becomes valuable. Like this is not an exposed neck. But then if we look at Rhodos, I'd argue that is an exposed neck. So if that's how the coding is working, this is kind of like a not exposed neck, right? And then we have, let's see. I mean, this could work. This could be the way to do it. Then we have Nethril, an exposed neck. That's goofy, guys. So the Axe Serpentis boosts your damage for each exposed neck present in the battle. And I find it hard to believe that Plarium would put a relic into the game that's only available from Live Arena that doesn't give any benefit whatsoever to Live Arena. It's only benefiting for Hydra. What? Cast in bronze by a Lizardman Master Magesmith, long dead? He should have stayed dead and not made this thing. Abandoned in Irith centuries ago, now uncovered, its power still thrums, its thirst for vengeance unquenched. Its blade is sharp as it was the day of its forging. I would argue that it's dulled out quite a bit since then, but since the Hydra shapes are here and the name is Axe Serpentis, I got a feeling my exposed neck theory is not the correct one. But be happy if they changed it. So scrolling through the rest of the way, oh, that's the end. So we got the community weeks coming up, the event calendar going on, a lot of cool stuff there. Maybe they have some other things going on during that time. Looking forward to seeing what's actually going to happen. This dude is a beast of a champion. Surprise finale. Interested to see what that's going to be. Maybe that's going to be their brand new mini game. It's not a mini game. Maybe it's an actual new game coming out soon. But besides that, we're also going to have this fusion starting. This fusion is starting Monday, April 7th. So next Monday. And this dude actually seems pretty good, but not for everybody. So let's see. He's a high elf, which spirit high elf, which I mean they got a lot of spirit stuff. Spirit high elf, spirit sacred order. The thing is though, I mean there's a lot of factions with not many champions, and then there's high elf. Though to be fair, they have 2 rows. I feel like they've just gotten a lot of free champions because barbarians have more champions than high elves, but I don't think it's because high elves have too many champions. I think it's because they have too many free and fusion champions. We have free champion, fusion, fusion, free, fusion, free. Yeah, so a lot of fusions are free champions. And then barbarians, actually fusion, right? I guess maybe there's a pretty even spread. I don't know. Why do we think that high elves have so many when in reality it doesn't seem like they actually do have that many? The lizardmen they're pretty short, honestly. Skinwalkers is good. Ogre Tribe is, I feel like, lacking a lot of solid ones, but either way, let's talk about the fusion. Dark Elves, they have a lot, right? Yeah, almost 3 rows. But when looking at this fusion champion, we have an A1 ability. It's a double hitting skill, a chance to place Hex for 2 turns, places increased crit damage on this champion for 2 turns. The thing is if a champion has increased crit damage, it kind of hints they're probably going to be a nuker, and you never really know how good a nuker is or not until we see the multipliers. We don't see the multipliers. There's really not much past, hey, this could be a good champion that I can say. It's just strictly looking at the kit. There's plenty of champions who, without their multipliers, just not good champions. For example, Rhodos was a champion who was not very popular, not really liked. I mean, kind of a bland kit in a way. Not really, but I mean, deals damage, nothing crazy. Deals damage. I mean, to be fair, this is still a pretty crazy kit, even nowadays. But when he was first released, a lot of players were like, oh, he's not going to be that good. But they had no idea that he has absolutely insane multipliers and would still be wrecking players 5 years from his release, basically. I don't know if it was actually 5 years ago, but it was a long time ago. So his A2 ability, Wily Hunter, is a 3-turn cooldown when fully booked, attacks 1 enemy 2 times, 20% chance of repeating the attack. When this champion counterattacks or teams up with allies to attack an enemy, so ally attack, we'll use this skill instead of the default skill. The damage inflicted with this skill increases by 10% each time an ally is devoured. So if you devours into the Hydra fight, you're doing some more damage, obviously, and lending himself to be a Hydra champion. It's a pretty good damage boost if this champion does good damage. This could be a champion who deals millions of damage per A2 skill, possibly. And then you have a pretty nutty fusion. Or he could do nothing, and then you have a champion who nobody really cares about. And then his A3 is an AoE double hitter. Each hit has a chance of placing decreased speed and weaken. This right here, for me, is why I would say anybody who is working on Hydra should go for this fusion. Decreased speed is one of the most important debuffs when it comes to pushing Hydra damage. And there are so many players that when I go to log into their accounts, don't have good decreased speed champions. It's difficult to find a decreased speed champion that's filling other roles as well. And he's filling decreased speed, weaken, plus some potential damage. Also, I don't think it's as impactful, but he will ignore life barrier and ally protection, increases his champion's defense by 5% for each active buff on this champion, up to 50%. So 10 buffs, 50% damage boost. Of course it stacks up to 50%. That makes no sense. You literally can't have more than 10 buffs, right? Interesting that they even write that. And then increases ally defense in all battles by 28%. I know you guys can't see that, but just trust me, that's what it says. So this fusion, first look, seems to be, okay, if you're pushing Hydra, you're working on damage. 1, he could be amazing to get you that decreased speed champion, potentially some more damage as well. 2, if you're working on a Fina team for Trenda, for Hydra stuff, he could be great. He would fit in perfectly in my team in place of Ithos because of the weaken plus the decreased speed, though I don't really need the decreased speed. For me, Ithos, I'm going to keep him there. I don't think that guy's going to replace him. Unless he does crazy damage, I'm keeping Ithos where he's at. So for me, I don't really need him. But if you don't have Ithos, this could be a pretty solid champion. And Ithos is a void legendary, so you may not have him. You probably don't, right? Most of you probably don't have Ithos. The A2 skill could do amazing. It's really going to come down to the testing on the test server. Okay, how hard is this guy hitting? How much damage is he doing? And where can we actually bring him? Now, unfortunately, he only brings a single hex on the A1 skill. So no AoE stuff. But we could throw him in a hex set and be able to place the hex, hopefully fairly consistently. He's a Spirit Affinity, so he's going to have the weak hits on the Magic Affinity heads. But either way, he has potential. I wouldn't necessarily write him off as an instant skip unless you're pretty in-game, your Hydra's all situated, and you don't really need a defense-based nuker. He's probably not going to hit as hard as most defense-based nukers. He has no increased defense for his own kit, which makes it harder to use defense-based nukers. Looking at specifically Khan. Khan is a champion who very difficult in a way to set up because he is a defense-based nuker, and he can't do his nukes really because he doesn't really have, you have to have an increased defense champion with him. He doesn't bring his own, and it's very difficult to actually get it. So I haven't seen him used at all. He's just not as exciting as what probably a lot of people hoped he was. To be fair, he has decent ratings, but also with the fusion, I mean, even for hard faction wars, maybe we could use him there, but I don't think High Elves are going to be a faction struggling with your hard mode faction war stuff. And also, it's hard to say what you're going to need for hard mode faction wars. Because, of course, yeah, just throw your best stuff at it. But they specifically said there's going to be like conditions to be met to 3-star stuff. It's not just going to be survive until the end. Maybe it's like place a veil on your champion. Well, he's not going to do nothing, right? You have to bring in a Tatura for that. If you want to bring a veil or do max HP damage, now you need a Thorion or a Royal Guard or something along those lines. Maybe bring a freeze. Now you need a Neldor. So now you can't even fit that dude. So maybe if you have no high elves with a decreased speed, maybe he's worth going for that sake, right? So we go everything. We go faction, we go high elves. Maybe he's the one of few high elves with a decreased speed. Maybe he's your only high elf with a decreased speed. Maybe you need one with weaken, AoE. Maybe decreased speed plus weaken. I don't know. With hard mode faction wars not actually being in the game yet, and not a ton of information being talked about with it, we really don't know what all you will or won't need. So you may end up skipping. Well, you could. The likelihood of it being requirement to actually progress in the hard mode is very low, but there's a possibility that you could skip a champion that's pretty crucial in actually completing the 3-star version of whatever hard mode faction you're stuck on. So that's something to consider before actually seeing hard mode faction wars, is that kind of stuff, because they mentioned, like I said, they mentioned the requirements for these different factions, and it's probably going to be, prohibiting some players from actually completing it because you just don't have the champions for it. But either way, guys, that's my opinions on this stuff. I'm looking forward to this community week stuff. Should be a lot of fun. The content creator trivia dungeon could be kind of neat. Is that what it says? Our very own. Yeah, that could be neat. Whether I have no clue. Either way, that could be interesting to watch. Trivia dungeon. What is this? I just want to have another event dungeon. Honestly, that's all I care about. Another event dungeon with more pinpoint stuff. Maybe something different. Either way, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.